So welcome again to this talk. Last class we saw the topic, the goal or purpose of life as prescribed in our Shastras. Shastrathla eppadi kuduthirukku. It is not my view of what is this thing of life or your view or anybody's view. It is a view of the Shastras. We take Shastras as a standard because anything we need to have a standard to accept. So once you accept the Shastras as a standard, then we proceed with what the Shastras say. Now, before actually going to what is this thing, we should know what is Shastra. Shastrathra sollirukku indha mari irukanonu. Shastramna enna? Yaar pannadu? Who is the author of Shastras? What is there a text, particular text which says this is the way to be followed? So that is what we are going to see today. The Shastramna enna? Adu yaar eludunadu illa yaar kandupidichadu? What is in it? Abindrathu this we are going to see today. Now let us first start with the word Shastra itself. It's a very probably a known word. Everybody would have heard the word Shastra. English it is loosely translated as scripture. Most of our Sanskrit texts or this thing, there is no equivalent English word. So they loosely translate it as scripture for Shastra. Because and the word Shastra meaning English la you cannot have a single word which gives the meaning of the word Shastra. So first let us see what is Shastra, what the word means. So Shastra means there are two words, one is Shas and the other one is Tra. Shas has two meanings. Shas means to command and Shas means to teach. It has two meanings. Both the meanings are there for the word Shas. Tra means to save. Now what is the role of the Shastra? Like a mother, initially when the child is young, it commands. So Shas stands for, one meaning of Shas means to command. And the second meaning of Shas is to teach. So like a mother who initially commands, idu pannano, idu pannakudadu, don't touch that, don't do that. So that is what the mother initially tells the child. And when the child grows up, she teaches what should be done. This is the way to do it. So that is exactly like a mother, the Shastra tells us. It puts certain conditions for us to, you should do this or you should not, do's and don'ts to begin with. Then it starts telling us, teach. For what? To save. Save us from what? Save us from the misery of the world that we live in. How to get out of this cycle of birth and death which we are undergoing. So the goal as specified in the Shastra, the goal of life to attain moksha, the Shastra also tells you how to do that. What is the process, what is the procedure to do to attain that moksha. So this is what the word Shastra means. Now let us see what Shastra contains. Shastra, brother, there are 6 groups in Shastras. 6 different groups or layers which form the entire Shastras. The basic, the foundation of the Shastra is Veda. So everything else is based on Veda. So first we need to understand what is Veda. Veda, first we should know, is not a man-made thing. We call it apurusheya, which is, it is not derived from human intellect. It is impossible for a human being to think what is conveyed in the Vedas. Then how did it come? Is the next question. It has been transmitted through a human being or a set of human beings called rishis. How were they able to get those teachings? Because their mind was very pure and their mind was tuned to these things which are not normally available to any of us. Like you have, ipo TV paakrom, you have this TV or radio waves in the air. You cannot just meditate and start, linking your mind to the waves, and you'll start hearing or watching what is there on TV without a. So you need some equipment for that. You need a TV set or a radio set to catch those waves and then tune to what you want to listen or see. Similarly, the rishis were people who had their minds in such a pure form that they could tune into those waves and they could receive the knowledge which was transmitted by the universe. It is not like somebody sitting somewhere up and just giving them the knowledge. It is something which that frequency they could tune to and get the knowledge. So that is how the Vedas were transmitted from the total energy to specific rishis who were able to assimilate that. And then how did they transfer? This is what we call as Karna Parampara. From mouth to ear. So they heard it from the source and they transmitted it to their students through mouth to their ears. So it is always mouth to ear transmission. That is why the Vedas were never available in a book form. Always it was only transmitted from mouth to ear. Nowadays you get printed books of Vedas, but you cannot read the Veda and either understand it nor எப்படி அது உச்சரிக்கணும்னு கூட தெரியாது நமக்கு. That is only possible because they received it and then they transmitted it in that particular way to their. So அந்த எங்க அந்த மந்திரம் எங்க மேல போனோம் எங்க கீழே வரணும்லாம் only when you hear you will be able to understand. You cannot read and know how to chant a mantra. So a mantra by itself means something which on a regular basis when you chant, it produces a certain vibration, it produces knowledge. So mantra cannot be, in fact, in the mantra we should not, in any other form we should not convey other than chanting. It should not be sung, it should not be transmitted in any other form other than there is a particular way to chant. If for example, if a Gayatri mantra irukku, Gayatri mantra has to be chanted in a particular way. இப்போ நிறைய இதில் they use singers and all to sing Gayatri mantra. Om Bhurvuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam அப்படின்னு பாடுவாங்க, which is absolutely wrong and it will produce negative effects. So there is a particular place where the mantra you have to go up, then you have to come down. Om Bhurvuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. This is how a Gayatri mantra is chanted. It has to be chanted only in that way to produce the effect that it is meant to. So in the Mari, the entire Vedas are made up of 20,000 mantras approximately. 20,000 mantras. இந்த மந்திரம்லாம் different rishis at different times they got in their deep state of meditation or whatever state they achieved, and but it was not in a particular way. There was no particular arrangement. இதெல்லாம் அப்பப்போ அவங்களுக்கு வந்தது, and they transmitted through their mouth to the ear of their students. ஸோ இந்த 20,000 மந்திரம் வந்து கோடிஃபை பண்ணி அதை வந்து நாலா பிரித்து பண்ணது வந்து வேதவியாசர். That is why he is called Vedavyasa. He was not the originator of the Vedas. He didn't discover the Vedas. But he codified them. He made them into 4 segments. As we all know, there are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. So 4 Vedas based on the form at which they were transmitted. For example, Rig Veda is in prose form. Yajur Veda is in poetry form. Sama Veda is in music form. Atharva Veda is credited to 2 particular rishis, Atharva Rishi and Angiras Rishi. இவங்க 2 பேர் தான் மெயினாக அந்த வேதாக்கு கான்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. So each Veda is done is chanted in a particular form, and mind you, even the prose form is chantable. The notation is such that you cannot chant a prose verse in any other language. You try and see, you will never succeed. ஏன்னா இது வந்து அந்த மாதிரி தான் பண்ணியிருக்கு. ஸோ chant பண்ணா what is the advantage? It can be memorized easily. That is how they were able to memorize and retain this knowledge over centuries. Centuries and centuries it has been transmitted and people have memorized. In fact, in the North India, you must have heard of certain surnames: Dvedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi. இதெல்லாம் வந்து இப்போ வேதி means the person who has by hearted 1 Veda. Dvedi means 2 Vedas. Trivedi means 3 Vedas. Chaturvedi means 4 Vedas. So each family was assigned to memorize all these Vedas. So now Chaturvedis in those days used to know all the 4 Vedas. In the Kalatla, maybe Chaturvedis don't know the meaning of the word Veda. They will have the surname Chaturvedi, but they will not even know what Veda means. But that was, so each thing had a meaning. Analda in the surnames were given just because they were proficient in the Vedas. So in the 20,000 mantra வந்து இந்த 4 வேதத்துல it has been classified in the way it is chanted and the prose, poetry. Sama Vedamla it is sung. It's very nice to hear actually. In fact, they say Carnatic music is evolved from Samaveda. So this is, it's a storehouse of knowledge. What we know from whatever we have learned so far is nothing. It is absolutely nothing. The storehouse of knowledge in the Vedas is something different. See, we have been sort of made to wear blinkers and look at signs and all these things through a particular way. If you open your mind out, the possibilities are innumerable. There's nothing which is not there in the Vedas. In fact, they say what is not there in the Vedas is not worth knowing. அது கொஞ்சம் தெரிஞ்சாலே நமக்கு we will understand how much we don't know. We may think we are very intelligent, we know நம்ம இன்ஜினியரிங் படிச்சிருக்கோம், அதுக்கு மேலே இது டாக்டரேட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம், இது பண்ணியிருக்கோம், அது பண்ணியிருக்கோம், ஐ எம் வெரி இன்டெலிஜென்ட். பட் இஃப் யூ லுக் அட் த நாலேஜ் தட் இஸ் இன் த வேதாஸ், வாட் வி நோ இஸ் நத்திங். அவர் நாலேஜ் helps us to make a living. In the knowledge we gather, we get a degree, it helps us to get a job, earn a livelihood. But beyond that, it is not going to help us in any way. But the knowledge in the Vedas tells us about everything that is around us. the functioning of the world, what each thing means, to get each thing what we should do, everything is available. இப்போ broadly வேதத்தை வந்து ரெண்டு பாகமா பிரிக்கலாம். There are broadly classified into two segments. One is called as the Karma Kandam, another one is called as the Jnana Kandam. Karma Kanda, as the word says, karma means action. So Karma Kanda is all about action. Action in the sense, it tells you to achieve. We were talking about the four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Ipo Artha and Kama and Dharma, whatever those secondary goals, like you said, adula enna, if you want wealth, you want progeny, you want this, you want that, for that the Vedas tell you certain ways to achieve that. There are rituals to achieve whatever you want to achieve. If Ramayanathla we would have heard of Putra Kameshti Yaga. Dasharatha did that to get children. So that is also a part of the ritual, to get Ashwamedha Yaga, to conquer kingdoms. They used to do Ashwamedha Yaga. They used to be called as Chakravarti or... So like this, anything you want in life, there is a particular way. If you do it that way, you will achieve that. There is nothing which stops you from achieving that. So that is what is all discussed in Karma Kanda. Now let us come to Jnana Kanda. Jnana Kanda, as Jnana means knowledge. So Jnana Kanda is about knowledge. What is the knowledge that is given in the Jnana Kanda? It is knowledge about self. Because we are all very eager to gain knowledge about the outside world. We get all kinds of knowledge. We read, we see, we gather knowledge from all kinds of sources. But there is one knowledge which is not available there, which is knowledge about yourself. So that is what the Vedas tell you. The Jnana Kanda part of the Vedas tell you what is that knowledge about yourself. So that part is also called as Vedanta or Upanishad. It is given different names, but they all mean the same thing. So the Jnana Kanda is to get knowledge of self. So how should we go about it? You will realize that first you should go through Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda panni ellame, you achieve everything, and then you realize that after achieving everything also you are not so happy. There is still something missing. When you achieve everything and then you come to that conclusion that I am not still complete, then you go to Jnana Kanda and get the knowledge. So that is what the Vedas in brief are all about. Veda, it's a huge thing. We cannot just to discuss what is there in the Vedas itself. Deepa therinjikradhu, just to discuss itself, adhe vandu நம்ம நிறைய நேரம் பேசிட்டு இருக்கலாம். So the Vedas form the base or the foundation of our Shastras. எல்லாம் வேதத்துல தான், வேத வாக்குன்னா அது வந்து அதுக்கு மேல உண்மை கிடையாது. So that is what is, and main thing is it is not attributed to any human being. So that is what we need to first accept. Now let us know what are the other groups in the Shastras. They are all based on the Vedas, but they are attributed to different human beings. Because to understand the Vedas, it is not easy for us to read and try to find out what is there. So again, there are very learned rishis and scholars who studied the Vedas, and they brought out the knowledge of the Vedas in different forms. So the next layer or group is called as Sutra. Sutra literature. Sutra means basically thread. What is threaded together? இதுல வந்து இந்த வேதத்துல வந்து there are different kinds of knowledge which are not there in a sequence. ஒரு if you take one particular aspect, இந்த வேதத்துல ஒரு இடத்துல இருக்கும், இன்னொரு வேதத்துல இன்னொரு இடத்துல இருக்கும், but they all will convey the same topic. So some scholars, some rishis, what they did was they picked out different mantras from different Vedas which have the same meaning, which have the same topic, so to say. இப்போ வந்து நிறைய, if you have a huge bunch of flowers which are
I think I lost you for the last 30 seconds. Could you please repeat?
Okay, you can okay. So the next group of Shastra is called as Sutra. Sutra literature. Sutra basically means thread. Now what is there in Sutra literature? Like I was saying, there are different topics discussed in the Vedas which are available in different parts of the Vedas. In different Vedas, the same topic may appear at different times. So many rishis, they try to get the knowledge which has similar topic and they brought out in a very cryptic form. Sutras are not direct, they are very cryptic. இப்போ ஒரு லைன் இருக்கும், அந்த லைன்ல ஒரு the knowledge is like a capsule. It is loaded in one sentence, but the meaning you have to expand to know what it is. For example, Yoga Sutra, if you take, Yoga Sutra is one of the sutras credited to Patanjali, sage Patanjali, who wrote Yoga Sutras. So the second the sutra of Yoga Sutra is, he just gives what is yoga. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That's all. The cessation of the mental modifications is called yoga. This forms the entire topic. In fact, if you understand this, you have understood yoga. But namakku puriyadhu. So somebody has to break that and tell us. So that is Sutra literature. Ipo nariya different varieties of flowers are there. Somebody dumps. So you pick out one type of flower and make a garland. Like you pick out only rose, or you pick out only malli, or you pick out only some other kind of flower and make a thread it on a garland. So this is what is Sutra literature about. They picked similar topics and made it into in the form of capsules. So you need somebody who can open out that capsule and give you the meaning. It is not chitta vritti nirodha அப்படின்னா நமக்கு வந்து ஒண்ணுமே புரியாது. Somebody has to explain what is chitta, what is vritti, what is nirodha, for us to understand what the sutra conveys. So the sutra literature was one major form of, so Vedathla irukkudu in a cryptic form. Some rishis wrote what are called as the sutras. So we have Yoga Sutras, we have Brahma Sutra, which is the ultimate for knowledge, and the most popular one may be Kama Sutra, which everybody would have heard. But actually Kama Sutra is misunderstood. It tells you how a householder should live. It includes everything. Only one part of it is very famous, but actually it gives you how to live a happy and contented life. So Kama Sutra was meant for that, but it has become very you can say why it is more popular. So that is also a sutra literature. Kama Sutra, Yoga Sutra, Brahma Sutra. So that is one type of literature which is in capsule form. The next sutra is the next layer is called Smriti. Smriti means memory, basically. Again, okay, we'll just continue. You can join. So, next we are going to talk about Smriti part of Veda. The Smriti group of literature. Smriti, again, you must have heard of one famous Smriti which is always in the limelight, which is called Manusmriti. We always heard about some people burning Manusmriti. We don't hear what is there in Manusmriti. Whether they understood anything in Manusmriti or not, we don't know. In the Mari, Smriti literature is, Smriti means basically memory. Smriti la எப்படின்னா நம்ம இந்த இதுல சூத்ரா லிட்ரேச்சர்ல இட்ஸ் வெரி கிரிப்டிக். ஸ்மிருதில இட் இஸ் மோர் எக்ஸ்பேண்டட், நல்லா எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் பண்ணி, ஸோ ப்ராபப்ளி ஒரு 10 times எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க கம்பேர்ட் டு வாட் இஸ் தேர் இன் சூத்ரா. சூத்ரால இஃப் த ஸ்கேல் இஸ் 1, ஸ்மிருதில the same knowledge is expanded and given to you in a more understanding, for more easier way for you to understand. That is how the Smriti part of the literature is. illa Manu Smriti irukku, அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய ஸ்மிருதி, each for each kind of this thing there is a Smriti. For what, how should a person lead a life as an individual, as a part of society, as a part of the nation. அந்த மாதிரி ஒவ்வொருத்தருக்கும் what is the duties of a householder, for a man, for a woman. There are innumerable topics on which there is Smriti literature. So Smriti is basically tells you how to lead a life in various ways, because as an individual you have a particular duty, as a householder you have a particular duty, as a man of society you have a particular duty, as a part of the nation you have a particular duty. எல்லாத்துக்குமே தனித்தனியா they have laid out different rules and regulations. Again, there is no compulsion. நீ இந்த மாதிரி வாழ்ந்தனா the goal we are very clear, to get moksha. இந்த மாதிரி if you live as per what is said in this, the chances of you getting moksha are much more than if you don't. The beauty of our Shastras is, it doesn't compel anybody. You are not compelled to go to the church on Sunday or to the mosque on Friday. உனக்கு வேணா கோயிலுக்கு போ, இல்லை வீட்டிலே பூஜை பண்ணு, இல்லை கடவுளை நம்பாத, எது வேணாலும் பண்ணு. உனக்கு எதுவுமே உனக்கு ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ஷனே கிடையாது. ஆனால் உனக்கு இந்த கோல் அச்சீவ் பண்ணோன்னா நீ இதில் கொடுக்கறது பண்ணேன்னா you will achieve. In fact, I would say the Vedas are like a manual. நம்ம ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் வாங்கும்போது கையோட ஒரு மேனுவல் கொடுப்பாங்க. அதில் என்ன கொடுத்துருக்கோன்னா, இஃப் யூ யூஸ் திஸ் this thing you will get the best. அதில் சொல்லியிருக்கிற மாதிரி நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணோன்னா you will get the best possible results out of that gadget, whether it's a phone, washing machine, fridge, the best way to use னு கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க. இப்போ சில பேர் ஐ ஹர்ட் பஞ்சாப்ல வாஷிங் மிஷின் வச்சு லஸ்ஸி பண்றாங்கன்னு கூட அதுல கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. பட் they have found out a new this thing. They have never said you should not use it that way. Okay, so this is our choice. So this is Smriti. Just brief this thing. We cannot, இது நம்ம ரொம்ப எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் பண்ணோம்னா it can go on and on. So I am just limiting it to a few key points about each type of literature. Next comes Purana. Puranamnu nama kelvipattiruppom. Puranas, the word Purana means, Pura means old and Nava, it comes from Nava, new. So it is something which is very ancient, at the same time it is relevant even today. And it will be relevant any time in future. So it is called as Purana. Puranas are something which convey the same knowledge in a very more amplified form. இப்போ அதில் வந்து ஸ்மிருதியில் 1:10 இதில் 1:100 magnification. Like they will pick one particular value in the Vedas and make a story to convey that value. இப்போ everybody must have heard of the story of Harishchandra. So he lived only for truth. So the whole story was to just convey the importance of speaking truth. அந்த மாதிரி ஒவ்வொரு புராணத்திலையும் there are a lot of stories to convey various things. So Puranas வந்து the authorship has been credited to Vedavyasa. ஸோ அதில் வந்து 18 புராணம் அவர் எழுதியிருக்காரு. அண்ட் அதுக்கு வந்து உப புராணம்னு இருக்கு, 18 உப புராணம், சப் புராணாஸ் ஆல்சோ ஆர் தேர். ஸோ 18 மெயின் புராணாஸ். அதில் வந்து பாகவதம் இஸ் அ வெரி ப்ராமினன்ட் புராணா, கருட புராணா, பத்ம புராணா, விஷ்ணு புராணா, சிவ புராணா, ஸ்கந்த புராணா, அந்த மாதிரி 18 புராணம் இருக்கு. ஈச் ஒன் கன்வேஸ் ஆல் த நாலேஜ் ஆஃப் த வேதாஸ் இன் அ ஸ்டோரி ஃபார்ம், which is easier for most of us to understand. So it is what our mind is ready, we should pick that. எனக்கு வந்து கதை சொன்னா எனக்கு புரியுது, ஓகே, அந்த வேல்யூ வந்து ஒரு கதையில சொன்னா I am able to understand. So we use Puranas to convey the same values as in the Vedas in a very simple and easy form for everybody to understand. The fifth literature is called Itihasa. Itihasa means history. Itihasa, thus it happened. That is what it means. Idhula vandu maina we look at two our epics which we call as Ramayana and Mahabharata. These two stories or this thing, they actually, it is history. They happened at a particular time. It may not have happened exactly as it is conveyed, because history cannot, somebody cannot sit watching each thing and write history as it is happening. But generally what happened, அதை வச்சுட்டு ஒரு கதை ஃபார்ம்ல தேவை. For example, Valmiki was the one who first wrote Ramayana. அதுக்கப்புறம் அதை பேஸ் பண்ணி so many languages, நம்ம கம்ப ராமாயணம் இருக்கு, அந்த மாதிரி ஒவ்வொரு லாங்குவேஜ்லையும் there are Tulsidas Ramayana and different, each language I think there is Ramayana. So it is something which happened really in history, but few thousands of years back, which we cannot now anyway we can whether அந்த மாதிரி நடந்ததா இல்லையான்னு. But there are a lot of evidences. ராமர் பாலம் இருக்கா, ராமர் கோயிலுக்கு இது இன்ஜினியரிங் காலேஜ் போனாரான்னு கேட்டாங்க, பட் அந்த பாலம் இருக்குன்னு அந்த இதுலயே தெரியுது. So there are a lot of evidences that such things happened. So Ramayana means the way Rama lived. That is what is the story about. Adhe mari Mahabharata, it's another event which happened later. So Mahabharata liyum the story of the Bharata race, and we all saw the serials which came in Doordarshan, and we are all familiar with the stories connected to Ramayana and Mahabharata. We are all, most of us, we know in general, but adla vandu it's a huge thing. The more you read, the more you will know that namak theriyadha nariya innum irukku adula. So these are the two literature which is called as Itihasa. The final literature which is part of the Shastras is called Bhashyam. Bhashyam literally means commentary. இப்போ இந்த முன்னாடி இருக்கிற,
can you repeat it? What is that word?
Bhashyam.
Bhashyam.
BHA. Bhashyam. So Bhashyam means commentary. So இந்த மற்ற லிட்ரேச்சர்லாம் ஃபர்தரா எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்றதுக்கு அதுல வந்து people have written commentary, many learned scholars, and for example Shankaracharya has written commentaries on 10 Upanishads. அது மட்டும் இல்ல அந்த கமெண்ட்ரிக்கு கமெண்ட்ரி எழுதியிருக்காங்க. ஹிஸ் disciple has written commentary on Shankaracharya's commentary. Commentaries were very long. So, for example, இப்போ Bhagavad Gita, Shankara Bhashyam is supposed to be the best authentic way to understand Bhagavad Gita, because Shankara's commentary is taken as a standard for Bhagavad Gita. So, இந்த மாதிரி all these subjects, there are millions of such commentaries written by different scholars. Commentary க்கு மேல commentary, அதுக்கு மேல commentary, இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய literature on the various things which are already there in the Vedas. So each one, as per their understanding, they have written to, their whole thing was it should be understandable to all of us. So ஒரு இதுல புரியலன்னா மேபி இன்னொருத்தர் எழுதுனதுல நமக்கு இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் பெட்டரா புரியுற மாதிரி இருக்கும். So this is our choice, and they have conveyed this to help us. They are not அப்போ எழுதுனதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் அந்த ராயல்ட்டி எல்லாம் வச்சு சரி இந்த புக்கெல்லாம் எழுதுனா நமக்கு ராயல்ட்டி வரும் அப்புறம் ஜம்முன்னு நம்ம அதை வச்சு என்ஜாய் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கலாம்னு கிடையாது. அது எழுதுறதும் அந்த ஓலையில எழுதுறது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். இமேஜின் உட்காந்து அந்த அந்த இது வச்சுட்டு இப்படி 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 இப்படின்னு they will write all those commentaries on ஓலைஸ் and keep it. அதை வந்து அதுக்கப்புறம் so many years later people must have discovered and got the information. So wealth of information available in all these things. So summing up, like I said, Shastras, the role of the Shastras is to command and teach us so that we can achieve that goal of getting moksha. For this, the Shastras are divided into 6 categories of knowledge, I would say, starting with the foundation, which is the Vedas, followed by Sutras, then Smriti, then Purana, Itihasa, and the last one is called Bhashyam. So everything falls under this. It's a tremendous storehouse of knowledge. I don't think there's any such thing available in anywhere else in the world. Unfortunately, we are not aware of it. There are a lot of Western countries who have looted all this knowledge and they are using it probably more than us. We are not even allowed to learn Sanskrit here. We see people from Netherlands or England and all, they are learning Sanskrit. So, in fact, Sanskrit was not meant to be written at all. In fact, it was only through word of mouth. Sanskrit never had a script. Then, later, for easier transmission, the script was introduced, and the Devanagari script, what we use today, is what has been generally known. But you can write Sanskrit in any language. Tamil la எழுதலாம், தெலுங்குல எழுதலாம், மலையாளத்துல எழுதலாம், any language you can write Sanskrit. That is the beauty of Sanskrit. So it is for us to utilize and get this knowledge. This is something, once you open out, it is limitless. You can achieve anything. Anything is possible. There's nothing which is impossible. All you need to do is you have to find the right source and understand it. For that you need to find somebody who can explain it to you. ஏன்னா நமக்கு வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நமக்கு சான்ஸ்கிரிட் படிச்சுக்கணும். சான்ஸ்கிரிட் தெரிஞ்சாலும் அதில் வந்து அந்த பாணினி கிராமர்லாம் இருக்கு. அதெல்லாம் they say you will literally cry if you try to understand Panini grammar. But அது படிச்சாதான் you will be able to understand the meaning conveyed in the Shastras. So, but fortunately there are a lot of learned people who may not be popular. You may find a lot of people who are very popular who will speak very well, but I don't want to name anybody, but there's a lot of these modern age gurus who talk very well. I mean, we will all be impressed by the way they talk. But if you ask them on what basis have you, on what is the basis of your talk, they will not be able to say. Because anything which is not there in the Shastra, if it is not based on the Shastras, even if you have lot of conviction about it, it is not worth knowing. ஏன்னா அதில் வந்து எல்லாமே சாஸ்திரத்தில் இல்லாதது வந்து நமக்கு தெரியணும்னு அவசியமே இல்லை. ஏன்னா அந்த அளவுக்கு இருக்குது. அது இவ்வளோ ஜன்மம் எடுத்தாலும் அதில் இருக்கிறது நமக்கு புரியறதுக்கு இட் இஸ் டிஃபிகல்ட். பட் we can pick and choose as per our mindset what kind of knowledge we want to know. So for that there are definitely lot of good teachers available. We should try and find them if we want to learn. So this is a little bit about what I understand about Shastras, which I am sharing with you, which I have received through some knowledgeable people. So now I'll conclude the topic now.